What up? What up? What's This is your boy Beanie Man, aka Mr. Headquarters. To my right, I got a special guest in the motherfucking building today, man. We got our very own dog from the 601, straight out of Jackson, Mississippi. You heard me? What up, Jock Johnson? What
Yes,
up, Jock?
sir. What's up? What's up? Glad to be in the building.
What's good with you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be in the building with you.
No doubt, man. Look, on this episode, man, we're gonna be talking sports on this. We're gonna be talking about the playoffs, the NFL playoffs. We got a lot of action. I mean, we got a game in action right now as we speak. Jock, tell me, what you thought of the playoffs so far?
As far in terms of wins and losses, because last week, man, I'm going back to last week when the Cowboys and the Packers were playing, and I know it's a lot of Cowboy fans out there were hurt, and Green Bay came to play, man. They came
Yeah,
to
man.
play. They came to play. The young guys was ready to play. They came in there and did their thing. I actually thought Dallas was going to win that game because the home field advantage. They hadn't lost a game
Yep.
during the whole season, and they get to this big game first round like they do every year, and they fall.
Yeah, man.
They fall.
Yeah, because Green Bay definitely gave Dallas a run for their money. Dallas was like a huge favorite in that game.
Yeah.
The biggest favorite the whole entire playoff. My bad, man. We got a lot going on in the back.
It's all good.
But yeah, so the Green Bay Packers was definitely huge underdogs in this game against Dallas last week in the wild card side. But Dallas definitely don't look like the damn America's team like they claim to be. You know what I'm saying? They claim to be them boys. I think they are boys out there when they actually get out there in that field in the playoff time, man, because they definitely ain't no men out there.
Yeah.
They got manhandled out
Yeah.
there. Green Bay definitely came to play. Jordan Love, me and EJ, the DJ, talked about this in the beginning of the season before he even popped off. I told him, I said, look, man, Green Bay know how to develop quarterbacks. They know how to find players to be up and ready. They found Brett Favre. Even going back past Brett Favre, they had Bart Starr. You had Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love look like he might be the next up coming out of Green Bay.
Yeah. That young guy, man, he looks good, man. They like I was just saying, Green Bay, they came in there. They didn't just beat Dallas. They put an ass whooping on them, man. They put it
Facts.
on them, and it was a lot of Cowboy faithfuls was hurt behind that shit. And I was like in the third quarter, I was looking into the stands here. I was trying to see if anybody was leaving that motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean they added in some like Shannon Sharp said, they added some empty calories at the end of the game to make it look a little more respectable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it definitely was the end of the score definitely was not a true testament of how that game actually went. It was a total domination from the beginning to end.
Yeah, they ran through the defense, man. They ran through Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay ran through Dallas defense, man.
Yeah, they definitely exposed their defense in that one, brother. The running game, I mean, we already kind of knew that Dallas couldn't really handle a solid run game. They gave them everything they could handle with Aaron Jones coming up the middle. He was going through the outside. Whatever he wanted to do, he was running all over their defense.
Yeah, he was running, man. And you know what? I was happy.
Man, look, shout out to Baseline Podcast, man. I know Mike Thomas over there is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I know he was over there probably crying real tears for them boys out there, man. So shout out to our dog out there. I know he going through it.
Yeah.
For myself and Jock, you know what I'm saying, we was already on the sidelines already with our team, so it was easy for us to deal with these situations.
Yeah.
With the Saints and Jets.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that in a second. But any other games that kind of caught your eye so far, like that was kind of like popped out to you? Because I got one in mind, but I wanted to see if you had anything else that you wanted to add in there.
Well, actually, last night's game, uh,
Yeah,
Green Bay and the 49ers.
yeah,
Green Bay made some mistakes toward the end, man. Missed field goal. And then Jordan Love had an opportunity to bring them back. They had like a little bit over a minute and so or something left. And
yeah,
man, he just forced the ball downfield and got it picked off, man. And that really just did it for him, man. It did it for him. All they had to do was really just try to get in field goal range, at least try to tie the game up because they had
yeah. Because I want to say it was what tied up, close to being tied up around the halftime point,
yeah,
and they hung in there.
yeah,
I mean, because let's remember, like Green Bay started off like I think 1-4
yeah,
the start of the season. They started off real slow, and they got high at the right time at the end of the season. The 49ers is a top to bottom dominant team,
yeah,
offense and defense.
yeah,
Chris McCaffrey led the league in rushing. Um, you got Brock Purdy was being solid as you can have a quarterback be with everything all the weapons that he's got. They did their part.
yeah.
San Francisco showed up.
They
Green
did.
Bay is a surprise team, I think, that's gonna catch people off guard next season.
Yeah. Uh, and then yesterday, another game yesterday too.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans and Baltimore
Yeah.
Ravens. Yeah, that one started out pretty good until later on in the game, and Lamar Jackson started really doing his thing, and you know, put him away. I hate it for Shroud, man, CJ Shroud, but hey, he's got a long ways to go, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting himself back in that team, back in a position to be in the playoffs again. So he's got time. So Lamar, he's got an opportunity now. He's got an opportunity to get his team to the big game. So we'll see how it unfolds in the next week.
Yeah. I called Baltimore was my pick from the preseason to win it all.
Yeah,
I said if they are healthy, they should win it all.
yeah,
Now that was dependent on a lot of different factors, particularly Odell Beckham, Lamar Jackson, and a couple other key factor players on their team.
right.
But uh, I still stay with what I said. If they run into Kansas City, if Kansas City gets hot at the right time too, it's gonna be hard to bet against Kansas City. But I'm still sticking with my pick. Baltimore is still my pick to win it all. Lamar Jackson is still looking like the MVP.
Yeah,
That he is pretty much it's his to win it right now, man. I don't think nobody else is gonna win it. Over 800 yards rushing, top five. I think it was top five. He was in touchdowns or something like that. Um, had a great passing yard year. The dude's just been dominant this year. It's
yeah,
like a mix of Michael Vick slash a little bit of Cam Newton. The way he kind of he picks his spots, especially in that Houston Texans game.
yeah.
When he kind of really opened it up in the third quarter. Like they couldn't handle that run game. Like whenever he makes his reads, that second read is the run.
Right.
That first read, he looks for that first option, that first target. If it
Yeah,
ain't there, he taking off.
yeah. Uh, Lamar, man, he did it with his legs a little bit yesterday.
Yeah,
He did his thing. The guy wants to win, man. You get to this
you can
point,
see it.
you can see it, man. And I actually got a coworker, man. He's a big Ravens fan, and he was
Mm.
sending me all kinds of pictures before the game and all that. And he been talking noise all week, and I know I know what I got to hear tomorrow. So, but from looking at Baltimore, man, those guys want to win, and they got a chance. They got a chance, man. They got a chance to do it, go take it all. But uh, you can't count teams like Kansas City out neither. I mean, they are so janky to me, man. You never know. You never know, man. You can always have a bad game. And
Yeah.
but um right now, I honestly think Baltimore is gonna get to that point from the way it's looking now.
So is that your pick Is that your pick? Super Bowl pick?
Yeah, from what I saw yesterday, yeah, I saw the determination. I saw that. Uh, and then they was playing at home, man. They had that home crowd behind them, man, and that really amped them up. And from what I see, I don't see nobody beating them. I don't. I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
But
So who you think gonna meet up with them in the NFC? Because I think they got some good teams still left that potentially might be able to overtake San
what?
Francisco, unless you think it is San Francisco.
Well, what? Baltimore is what in the AFC, right? They're in the
Yeah.
AFC. Yeah, they're in the AFC. Uh, I'm picking overall, man. I'm picking Baltimore out of the AFC, man. To now this game today, I actually picked out of the Detroit. I picked Detroit earlier part of the year as my sleeper team.
Mm.
But you know, there's a chance. There's a chance. Those guys, they play hard, man, for their coach. They got a good head coach, and they play hard for him.
Yeah,
But
talking about Dan Campbell.
yeah, they play hard for him. And I'm just happy for Detroit, man, to even get to this point. Hell, they hadn't been to a damn playoff since shit. Damn, damn.
Yeah, man. That's a
Can't even
good
remember.
point, bro.
Yeah,
They hadn't won a playoff game since 1991.
yeah, yeah.
1991. Shit, I
Damn,
think
man.
I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old
Yeah, man.
when they let.
That's been a minute, man. That has been
Yeah,
a
man.
long fucking time. But it's the NFL. Anything is possible. Anything, as I was saying, man, you can have a bad game. You be on this high horse, and for long, man, you never know, man. You might have a bad game. It come down to like sometimes it can come down to a field goal, missing a field goal
Mm-hmm.
early part of the game. Some plays, some key plays that you should have took advantage of and couldn't. That could make a big difference in the game. So I'm picking in the AFC though. I'm picking Baltimore. NFC, I'm still kind of edgy. I'm still kind of edgy on the NFC side. Um, and we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, currently right now, speaking of Detroit, the game is going on right now between Tampa Bay and Detroit. Tampa Bay is up. Detroit is up 10-3 with
3.
6 minutes
Yeah.
in the second.
Yeah. Mm.
The Detroit Lions should win this game. In my opinion, they should win this game. Although Tampa Bay, I said this early in the season too. Tampa Bay got a lot of talent.
They do.
It's just there's some reason that they can't. They're not a consistent ball club. Now maybe it's because they quarterback or whatever you want to say it is. Their defense hasn't always been holding up either. The secondary is kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
But I think to kind of piggyback off what you were saying before, I think the San Francisco 49ers should be the team coming out
They
the
should.
NFC.
They
But based
should.
out of this game, yeah, they should. Based out of this game, I'm not seeing anything dominant out of Detroit. Detroit missing a lot of key players on their defense that got hurt for the year.
Yeah.
CJ Johnson is one of those players who is one of the best secondary players out there, especially came from New Orleans and came from Philly last year. They do know how to make turnovers. Whether he's playing a linebacker, sneaky linebacker coming out of the safety spot, or just being a third extra cornerback or something like that.
Yeah.
So I like Detroit to win this game against Tampa Bay, but coming out the NFC, I think it should be no question that
Question
San
for
Francisco
it.
will take
Yeah.
it.
It shouldn't
Yeah.
be. It shouldn't be. But last night with the 49ers, I mean, it wasn't
Got
like
close.
it was a close game. It was close. So, if Detroit, I feel like if Detroit goes on to win this game and they face the 49ers, if they can keep the game close, like Green Bay did, who knows, man? You never know which way it's going to fall.
Yeah.
You never
It
know.
took that fourth quarter for them to take it over and come back and take the lead.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. So speaking of, we talked about our favorite teams. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know if y'all follow the show, y'all know I'm a Saints fan. 504 who that till I die. Jock, you are a Jets fan. Jets.
Yeah, no
Jets,
doubt, no
Jets,
doubt,
Jets.
no doubt, no
Tell
doubt, man.
me, tell me how you felt about this season, man, because it's been kind of like a roller coaster from the
Horrible,
jump.
horrible,
As a Jets fan, how you felt about the season?
horrible, horrible. I've had people tell me, say, man, Aaron Rodgers, everyone like it. You're just one guy that can come in there and just, but he could make a difference, man, for the whole team, though. When you got somebody like that, and won Super Bowl, I mean, man, done been there, uh, and all the stuff that we've been had going on in the last 7 to 10 years or longer, with quarterback situations, we bringing new quarterbacks in. Then you got these jacked up ass systems, coaches.
Yeah.
We done had some horrible coaching. And at one point, in the early, years ago, a few years back, man, Jets had a number one defense, man. It was good in
Yeah.
defense. And once your offense is not producing, it takes put wear and tear on your defense. They feel like, hell, we can't even go out here, go in and do our thing and come back and get a breather before we got to get right back on the field because the offense is not producing. So when Aaron Rodgers went down that night, man, I knew then the season was over. It was
Damn.
over. I feel like it was over because I knew we had to go back to what we had at quarterback. We was gonna
Right.
have to go back, and he hadn't did shit. So I knew it was over. But at the end of the day, man, that's my team. Win or lose. Uh, you know, I have people jumping down my throat, messing with me about the Jets. Man, Jets ain't won since such and such, in so many years, and that's true. But that's my squad, man, and I hope we can get it turned around. I hope Aaron Rodgers can at least come back and give us one good year, give us some
Yeah.
hope. I'm not looking at no Super Bowl shit and all that. I'm just want to win, man, win some games and maybe just can make the playoffs. I hopefully that shit can happen, but we'll see what's coming up in next season. See what we got to what the Jets can do as far as Aaron Rodgers coming back, and hopefully he can play a full season without an injury. You have to realize he is up there in age now.
Yep.
So you, hell, I feel that
Yeah.
shit myself, hell, with age. So, but maybe if we can win some games and put ourselves in a position to get to the playoffs, man, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have some good bright spots though. I mean, y'all running back Brees Hall came back
He
from
came
a
back
major
strong.
injury last
He
season.
he was running the ball hard. He was running.
He was.
Yeah.
I think he was just starting to get his speed back a little bit towards the like the middle and the late part of the season. I think they had to get away from being able to run the ball as much as they wanted to because of the fact that a lot of times they were trying to catch up in
Mm-hmm.
some games.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of partially because of the fact that they had bad quarterback play out of Zach Wilson. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
he'll look confident. Sometimes he'll look like he'll be the next, like he might have righted the ship a little bit.
Yeah, man.
And then he just looked like straight dog shit.
Yeah,
So,
dog shit to me,
but
man.
are you surprised that they held on to Robert Saleh, that
Yeah,
head coach?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
No
yeah,
hesitation on that shit. Like, yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's a lot. I think next season is going to be on it heavy on him. They got to do something, man. They got Aaron Rodgers, as I was just saying. He's coming back to play, and you got some pieces around, man. It's no excuse not to get to at least a playoff run, anything like this. It shouldn't be no excuse.
right.
So we'll see how it fans out, man. I just hope that we can uh, get to a position, man, where we can win a lot more games. Um, Tired of being damn near at the bottom of the barrel in the division. But unfortunately, New England was this time. So I felt damn good about that because
Yeah,
that's a whole nother, a whole nother topic, man. But definitely want to be up in the division, and Miami looked it damn good too, man. I think that Kansas City game, man, I think it was a little bit too cold for them in that damn
yeah, it
game.
was.
Yeah,
I think that division is more winnable than you think. Especially with
uh,
Josh. I don't believe in Josh Allen as
you never know which one
I
you're gonna
don't.
get. You don't know
I
which one
don't.
you're gonna get.
I told EJ, man, I was like, I do not believe in Josh Allen and the Bills. They are losing a lot of their talent. They're gonna be losing more talent next season.
Yeah,
Um, they had to pay a couple key players. I just don't believe in that. They're just not consistent in my opinion.
yeah,
Miami kind of the same way. Their offense is dominant.
yeah,
Their defense can get at you. They can get after the quarterback. They can sack the quarterback. But at times they kind of have their little lapses here too. I still feel like Miami was the better team overall throughout the season. It's just that they had that collapse at the end
yeah,
where Buffalo was able to kind of take control late I think it was the last game of the season that they got the division. Um, and it was able to, get that win this past week. So I'm no, did they win this week? No, they
no,
lost last week.
yeah, they lost. But
Um, no, they play Kansas City today at 5:30. So they got that game tonight against Kansas City.
yeah,
Big
Buffalo.
rivalry game. Big rivalry game there. They got their history from the past 3 or 4 seasons of when they been playing each other in the playoffs, or they just their battles that they got during the regular season.
Yeah,
So I still don't believe it. I think even though Buffalo's gonna be at home and it's gonna be cold as shit, uh, I think Kansas City is used to playing in the snow too. So
they proved that. They look
yeah,
how cold it was against the Dolphins. Shit, it was fucking super cold, man. And they did their thing.
yeah.
You
Andy
know,
Reid looking like a fucking snowman out there with his
yeah,
mustache getting all froze up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Buffalo, man, to me, man, you don't never know which Josh Allen you're gonna get from time to time. He make some crazy throws, sometimes forcing the ball downfield a lot. Uh, but then
A
you
lot of
have those,
fumbles.
yeah, those games. But you have those games, man. You like, damn, this dude, man, is the shit. But you don't never know which one you're gonna get. To me, he's not consistent enough for me.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
consistent.
so who you got winning that game? The Chiefs and Bills later on in the day.
I'm not, I'm not gonna count the Chiefs out that shit, man. You got, Patrick Mahomes. You know, uh,
Patrick Mahomes.
you can't sleep on him. You can't do that shit, man. Um, the first half gonna probably tell it for me. First
Mm.
half, how the first half goes. Um, if Buffalo, I feel like if Buffalo get that lead on them, they gotta, put the gas on it, man. They gotta continue to get points because you can't leave no opportunity for Patrick Mahomes, no kind of time if it's a close game. You can't give him that no opportunity like that if it's a real close game where they got to score either a touchdown to come back and win the game. You can't leave him that opportunity because if you do, man, he's gonna burn your ass. He's gonna burn you. And yeah, Buffalo got the home field advantage. I mean, both of them used to the cold weather and all that. Um, I think the first half is gonna kind of tell it for me. See who's winning at the half. If it's close, it could go either way. But if it's not close, especially if Kansas City is up, uh, I think they're gonna end up winning, man. I'm gonna pick Kansas City in that game, man. I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I just can't.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, bro. I think Kansas City gonna take care of business
Mhm.
as usual. When it comes to playoff time, they are definitely dominant. They get shit done. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, just that combination, and now the fact that you got Isaiah Pacheco, who came up big in that wild card game.
Hard runner.
That one
Hard.
run he had for like, it was like 40 yards, something like that.
Yeah. That guy's
Like,
a
I think he
brutal
might be
runner.
the X factor for them.
Yeah, he's a brutal runner, man.
Yeah.
He's brutal. He's
And
brutal,
then the
no
rookie
doubt.
receiver too, Rice.
Mm-hmm.
He had a breakout game. Shit, he had like 120, 130 yards receiving in that game.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely a team to watch out for. I think it's gonna be probably Baltimore and Kansas City in the championship
That
game.
that's gonna be a good game. I'm picking
Yeah.
that too, man. That's gonna be a hell of a game. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a hell of a game right there, man. I think that's gonna if that were to happen, that's gonna be one of those games down to the wire games.
Yep.
And I like those games. I like watching games down to the wire. I don't like that blowout shit, man. I don't like getting blowed out. Game not worth watching. Uh, but that one will be a definitely a awesome game, man. I honestly think that it's going to be a down to the wire game
Mm-hmm.
if those two meet up in that championship game. So now,
Yeah,
uh,
I believe that too.
so
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, man, because I was going to ask this shit, but I'm gonna let you probably do that. So
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
about the final picks.
About the final picks.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. We'll do that at the end of the game. At the end of the
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
Um. Yeah. So we'll pick the final picks at the end of the, and we'll do the spread and all that too. I wanted to get some of these other storylines in the NFL from the season. I had to ask you about the Russell Wilson situation in Denver. First, how do you feel the entire situation played out to you as a fan? And number two, where do you see Russell Wilson playing next season?
Well, I think Russell Wilson this situation was messed up, man. Uh, Sean Payton, I felt just, I feel like he just didn't have nothing for that guy, man. He didn't have nothing for him, man. And I hate it, for Wilson. Uh, that shit wasn't gonna work out. You seen
Hmm.
that throughout. You saw that throughout the season. Uh,
Yeah.
with him and Sean Payton, and Sean Payton was gonna do whatever it takes for him to get him out of there. Uh, on the other hand, for him playing somewhere else, I really hadn't just thought about where he could probably play at.
Hmm.
He is climbing the ladder a little bit in age. But there's quite a few teams out there probably could use him, man. Uh, I just really hadn't thought off the bat where he could just really uh go and play as far as being a starter. Because I know he's not trying to go nowhere where he's gonna be riding the fucking bench. I know that's not
Right.
it's not gonna happen.
I
Uh,
mean, look, there's a lot of places he can go. Um, I'm a I'm gonna spit out some teams, and you tell me if you think he'll fit or not with that situation.
yeah,
All right.
I'm
So
listening.
let's roll with that. So because we know half the league is that got like a lot of shitty quarterback play. Like this
Mhm.
is probably one of the worst years that I've seen as far as like quality quarterback play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So Atlanta Falcons.
yeah, they need a quarterback. And the thing is, since you said Atlanta, they have been talking a lot about Bill Belichick
Yeah.
possibility now. Just that he could be the next head coach. He had meetings with Arthur Blank and dinner and all that. Just
Hmm.
they was talking at one point that like they was getting close to you know coming to an agreement. Now I know other coaches are coming there. Former head coach for the Titans, I think he's got an interview with the Falcons coming up in the coming days. But if Belichick were to go there, uh, I think that would be a good spot for him if to go to Atlanta. Now it's been word that I actually read this the other day about Kirk Cousins was saying that he would uh love to play
Yeah,
for Bill Belichick in Atlanta. So, but I see Pittsburgh is I think eyeing on Kirk Cousins. Trying to get Kirk Cousins to come to Pittsburgh. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but uh, for Russell, I think that would be a great opportunity for him to go to Atlanta. If a Belichick were to go there, that would make it even better for him. So
yeah, I've heard a lot that I've seen that Russell Wilson has been kind of potentially linked to go maybe Minnesota. So
that's
what do you think about if he would have went to Minnesota?
that's a good possibility. That would be good too.
Yeah,
Especially
if Kurt leaves there.
Kurt leaves. Yeah, that's a door open for him to go. I think that'll be great for him. Uh, Atlanta, you say Atlanta, Minnesota. Um, I'm trying to think of somebody else too, man.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah,
You got a brand new coach.
got a brand new coach.
Well,
They did keep Pierce, right?
Antonio Pierce is now
Yeah,
officially the head coach of
he
the
deserved
Raiders.
it. He deserved it.
Yeah.
He deserved it, man.
When you
Those
talk
guys,
about a leader of men,
yeah.
that's what you hear all the time from
The fan,
Antonio
the
Pierce.
fans wanted it. The fans even
Yep.
wanted it. So I'm happy for that brother, man. I'm glad that he's got that opportunity to continue
Yeah.
his career in coaching because
Mm-hmm.
those guys play for him. They play for him, and they just need a couple more pieces. I think that'll be a great opportunity for Russell too, man, if he could go there.
Facts. Yeah. Let's see. You got also talking about in the AFC side, you got a few teams as well. One team that comes to mind is the internet. Well, the Colts have a quarterback. He was just hurt, but you have the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah,
I don't think
it,
I would see him going there, but that's another possibility.
yeah. I don't.
Especially if things kind of dry up for him.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be dried up on for him, man, in order for him to probably go there. But uh, those other teams though we just mentioned, I could see him. I could see him in Minnesota. I can see him in Vegas. I can see him in Atlanta.
Yep.
I can see him in those places because you look the possibility with the coaching in Atlanta if Belichick was to go there with Belichick if that happens. Then you got Antonio Pierce, which is a hell of a coach. He's a leader of men.
Yep.
And then too, Russell Wilson brings that experience in there too. So,
What about New England?
I thought about that a little while back when all this stuff came about. Because I know New England they was making changes. They made the change their head coach and all, and they trying to change everything up there.
Yep.
Uh, that would be good too. That would be good. I think that would be good too. That's a
All right, I got
possibility.
two
It's a
more teams.
possibility. Possibility.
What about Pittsburgh?
I actually,
Him and Mike Tomlin.
yeah, but you never know how it may fall because from what I was reading earlier, they definitely trying to get at Kirk Cousins.
I
Come
saw
there.
that.
Yeah, they trying to
I,
get at Kirk Cousins to go there. So uh, I don't see him
I'm
in
gonna get to
Pittsburgh.
Kirk Cousins. I got something to say about Kirk Cousins in a second. I,
I don't I, I
I
don't care
got
for Kirk. I don't care for his ass. He turned us down when we was trying to get him a few years back. I was like, man, fuck Kirk Cousins. I ain't trying to be his cousin. Fuck him. Shit.
I
Yeah.
got one more team for you. What about? Wait a minute, I lost. Hold up. I just had him over here. Well, it's oh, that's what it was. So I saw the report that they said that potentially that Denver might bring him back. Did you see that?
No, I hadn't saw that yet. I hadn't saw that. I wouldn't even want to go back. I wouldn't if I was him. I wouldn't even want to go back.
Well, the thing is, they have to cut him or trade him, and because he's still on the contract, his new contract kicks in this season at this during this off season. So there was a report that's saying that they potentially might retain him because of the fact that they don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
Or draft picks. So talk about shooting yourself in the foot. You alienate a quarterback with a caliber of Russell Wilson. I felt like this because you know how they brought him in. They brought him in because in the same kind of way that they brought in Peyton Manning a couple of years back, right? When Peyton Manning came over there, Peyton Manning wasn't what he was.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Peyton Manning was a shell of what he used to be by the time he got to Denver.
Yeah.
You know, he had nothing left in that arm. Now that first year he came there, he had a little bit left in the tank. That last year he was there, that Super Bowl run, he was pretty much done. He was pretty much a game manager. People kind of forget about that. Peyton Manning, they had a great defense, a nice running game, a good receiving core, and they just needed a competent quarterback that can lead the team and not make mistakes. And that was Peyton Manning at that point.
Yeah.
And now the on the flip side, I feel like Russell Wilson doesn't get the same kind of respect that he deserves. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He didn't play bad. He didn't play great this season, but he didn't play awful. I mean, you could say he was probably a top 12 quarterback in the league this year. I mean, his numbers was on par with like Patrick Mahomes this season. So it wasn't like he was playing like awful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wasn't playing like Desmond Ritter or some other players that just had no business being a starter in the league. You know what I'm saying? He actually was playing well enough. I think he was in like top 10 in touchdowns, receiving yards. So, and he didn't even play the last 2 games of the season. So I think he still has a lot left in the tank. I don't think he's the same as he was, but I do think he has a chance to be still a starter in the league. Now, you got a lot of rookies coming in, so obviously he might not be a starter for long somewhere else in certain places.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of named some of those teams who I don't think will probably have a brand new young quarterback in the first round, early first round. But I think the possibility is he's probably going to end up in Minnesota. I think that's the destination I think he's going to end up.
Yeah. Yeah, with Denver, man, that situation with him and Sean Payton, though, man, I don't know.
It kind of rubbed me the wrong way too.
Yeah, man, I just couldn't. I couldn't do that shit, man. It'll be hard. It'll be hard, man. I'll be begging for him to get me up out of there. Shit.
Yeah, I just don't understand because it seemed like from day one when he had that press conference after he was named the head coach in Denver, the way he was just talking about Russ sounded like he didn't give a fuck about it. He was like, well, I don't know how they ran it back then, but how we gonna run it when I'm here? This is how it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Then they asked about his personal quarterback, which I don't know why that was a big thing because Tom Brady had his own personal quarterback on the team facility out in New England and when he was in Tampa Bay. Now, obviously, Tom has won a lot of championships,
right?
And I get it, but at the same degree, Russ deserves that same type of
he does.
That same type of pedigree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he does. He does, man.
Well, look, let's move on to the next topic. I want to know who you think is your top players at quarterback, running back. Because I've been doing this new segment we've been doing for this new sports season. I've been naming the top quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and defensive players of the year, of the week. So now we're at the end of the season. I want to know who are your top players Now I'm gonna give you a chance to answer that. I'm gonna give you mine while you get a chance to think about it. But I have my top players here. I'm gonna name off a couple of them right quick. We're gonna start off with quarterback. I'm gonna give you top three because top five is kind of gonna take kind of long. But in this season, and it kind of pains me. We're talking about regular season. Talking about regular season. I'm not gonna put in the fact of playoffs and all that stuff, because if that was the case, it'd probably knock out a lot of these dudes, or whatever. So my number three guy that I would add in there as a top quarterback this season is I gotta add in there Jared Goff. Jared Goff statistically looked like a top quarterback in the league this year. He came in number 2 in passing yards. He was number 4 in touchdowns. And his team made the playoffs as well as also. So Jared Goff was my number 3 quarterback this season. Number two, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott led the league in touchdowns. I believe he came in number 3 in passing yards. Had the top record in the league for a good portion of the year in Dallas. It looked like they was the number 1 team at one point, but they beat up on a lot of easy teams. So it's kind of hard to justify some of the wins that they had out there. They had a couple of cupcake wins. And that number 1, it's kind of hard to argue Lamar Jackson at number 1.
You're really
It's hard to argue that Lamar Jackson at number 1 because of what he does with it, not only with the passing, but also what he do with his feet. So we talked about he had over 800 yards rushing, touchdowns wise. Let's see what he stacked up. Lamar Jackson had 24 touchdowns, passing 3,600 yards passing. He was like number 12 in the passing yards, but the 800 yards rushing kind of make up for everything else. So how you feel about the quarterbacks?
I was actually going to put Dak at 3. at 3.
Yeah.
I was definitely going to put him in there. Put him at 3. I was kind of in the mix with Golf, and I like how Stroud played, man. I mean, the guy played pretty damn good this year, man. But I definitely was going to put Lamar Jackson at number 1. I was definitely going to. I was out. That was already on top of my head before you even said that shit.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson was gonna be 1. So
hands down,
man. Hands down.
All right. So let's move up to the running backs. Running backs this year, my number 3 running back was Kyren Williams for the Los Angeles Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Kyren Williams was pretty dominant this year. I didn't expect him to be able to do what he did. He wasn't even on my radar last year. I ain't gonna lie. Kyren Williams definitely looked like a dominant running back. He was part of the reason why they even made the playoffs this season, along with Puka Nacua, the rookie receiver that they got. The Rams offense was pretty good this year, even despite Cooper Kupp being missing a nice part of the year too. But Kyren Williams had 1,100 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns. It's my number 3 running back. Coming in at number 2, Mr. Reliable, straight out of Alabama, Derrick Henry for the Tennessee Titans is my number 2 running back. Also had 1,100 rushing yards, but on 280 yards carry. He had a slightly lower average than Kyren Williams, but his consistency to me and how dominant he is in the running game, he just gonna run you straight over. He gonna run right through you like a damn Mack truck. And also had 12 touchdowns as well. And then coming in at number 1, the dual threat. I never thought I'd say this in my lifetime, but to have a white boy running back as my number 1 running back for the league. Christian McCaffrey led the league in rushing, 14 touchdowns, and also had, I believe, 600, 700 yards receiving. So he was the dual threat that he needed to be on that front. So Christian McCaffrey is my number one rushing back for this season.
Yeah, you named him. Fucking named him, except I was kind of hung up on number 3.
On Kyron Williams?
Yeah, I was kind of hung up on that one. But those 1 and 2s, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that shit there, man. Number 3,
I
I'm
will
still
say
kind of.
Raheem Mostert was a close number 3 for me. He led the league in rushing touchdowns. He just didn't have enough rushing yards, and enough carries for me to say, yeah, he was my number 3 guy. It was close. It was close for me.
Yeah.
But he was a big part that don't get talked about in Miami, or why Miami was good this season too.
Yeah.
All right. You said that you keep about the same for the running backs for you?
Yeah. Now you wide receivers. Wide
right.
outs. I already know who my number 1.
Oh. Loud now.
I already feel like I know who my number 1 was. And then
All right. If you want to go ahead, you can go ahead while I pull it up.
Yeah, 3. I like the receiver, a guy from the Texans.
From the Texans to my Nico Collins?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nico Collins had a good year this year.
Yeah. Number 2, my number 2 receiver. That one there was gonna be kind of tough for me, but I already knew who my number 1 is. I can't come up with that number 2, but the number 1, CD Lamb for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, for me, my number 1 and number 2 is pretty easy. It was my number 3 that was hard for me. My number 3 guy was kind of hard to figure out who I wanted to be in that. This shit was the year of the receiver. Like, they had a lot of great receivers this year. From, like, we talked about Puka Nacua, you talked about Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra St. Brown from Detroit had a great year too. But for me, I had to throw in, to me, my number 3 guy was Mike Evans. And it pains me to say that. It pains me to say that as a Saints fan. And Mike Evans has given us hell a lot of times, especially the battles between him and I'm blanking on your boy name, and my Saints fans are gonna kill me on this one. The battles he had with our cornerbacks. But Mike Evans is my number 3 guy at receiver. Number 2, I put Tyreek Hill at number 2. And at number 1, I had CeeDee Lamb. I think it was kind of hard to argue CeeDee Lamb was that dude this year.
Tyreek
This
Hill,
year was his year.
Since you said that, I actually forgot about Tyreek Hill too, man, because that definitely could have been my number 2. But as I was saying, man, CeeDee Lamb is the top dog.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. And he actually had for the most part, entire year, he had the receiving record until Tyreek Hill kind of took it over, I think, late in the season. To me, I'm not counting that. I think he got him like about 40 yards, the receiving yard title or whatever. And he also had 1 touchdown extra. Then he had 13 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill. CeeDee Lamb had 12. But it's the targets and the catches for me. CeeDee Lamb had 135 catches out of 181 targets. 181 targets. Now, to me, going back to the Dallas Cowboys game, that was probably the reason why their downfall was that Dak stared CeeDee Lamb down for most of that game, and that's probably why they lost because he didn't focus on trying to spread the ball around.
They was having some conversation on the sideline during that game, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. He seemed like he was a little upset. CeeDee Lamb definitely he
Yeah.
looked like he was pissed off the entire game.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, last but not least is defensive players of the year. Do you have any notable players for your defensive players of the year? It's kind of hard because there's a lot of players out there.
Yeah. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I was, kind of on Parsons.
Yeah.
With him. Who else? There's quite a few of them, man. It's quite a few of them. But Parsons was one of them. I paid a lot of attention to. Even though I don't care for the Cowboys, but hey, he's just a good player, man. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Gotta give him his props. I'm trying to think of somebody else too.
What team you talking? What team was he on?
Was it Detroit or I can't think. I actually can't think. Was it Detroit or not?
Okay.
But Michael Parsons was one of them for me with Dallas. Definitely from Dallas.
Michael Parsons? Okay.
Yeah. Shit, man, I can't think of no other one, man, because shit, man, I'm gonna let you have the floor now.
All right, cool. I'm gonna say my number 3 guy, and I'm probably gonna get some pushback on this one. But my number 3 guy, because he did get torched on a major game for Dallas during the season, and it's not Michael Parsons. I'm calling Deron Bland for leading the league in picks with 9 interceptions in the year. Now, he did have that one game where he got his ass torched, but they ended up still winning that game. So I'm calling Deron Bland as my number 3 defensive player of the year. It's kind of hard to argue 9 interceptions in 1 year. Number 2, I'm calling Bobby Wagner, still out there doing it, leading the league in tackles, had 183 tackles, 3.5 sacks on the year. Bobby Wagner is still getting it done out there in Seattle. That was my number 2 guy. And my number 1 guy was TJ Watt, leading the league in sacks and 19 sacks on the year. TJ Watt for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Now he got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he didn't even finish the season.
Yeah.
So imagine if he would have kept playing, he might would have been able to have a chance to even potentially get the sack record.
Yeah.
I do want to say I got to give a notable mention to Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came in number 2 at I think he had 17 and a half sacks this year.
Yeah.
He came close in a contract year. Pay that man. That man will get paid this offseason. Somebody gonna pay them top dollars for him, whether he stay in Jacksonville or not. I mean, I wouldn't have no problem him coming to New Orleans if we can afford it. We probably can. We ain't never got no damn free agency money. But I think you would fit in good with the Jets defense though, because y'all can always use another pass rusher.
We could. I was actually just thinking some shit about with the Saints. That was the last regular season game last where
Oh, you talking about against Atlanta?
yeah.
What
Where,
what happened?
where they went on and scored on them again.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. You talking about yeah.
And that shit was
So you know what? That's a perfect. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a perfect time to bring this shit up. That could be one of our last topics we'll talk about, and then we can get into these picks. So Jameis Winston. If anybody is not familiar with what happened, the Saints played the Atlanta Falcons in the last game of the season for a chance to get into the playoffs. Atlanta was alive for the playoff hunt too. So if they needed a lot of shit to happen, they had to win that game. They needed the other couple teams to win their games for them to get in. That shit didn't happen. They didn't even beat the Saints. But the most important thing that came up is that happened toward the end of the game when it was already decided. The Saints had won the game by I think 20 plus points or whatever. I think it was like 48-10 or something like that. But at that point, it was maybe like a minute left in the game. The Saints, then Dennis Allen, head coach, sends in Jameis Winston to go in and take a knee at the goal line after they just had a turnover, major turnover. I think it was an interception that got brought back all the way to the 5-yard line, or 3-yard line, something like that. And Jameis gets this call, comes in from Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator at the time, because he got his ass fired. They call and they tell him, "Hey, take a knee in the game. Let's get out of here. We're already
right.
winning. We already got 41 points. We
Yeah.
put that ass whooping on them.
Yeah.
Let's go home." Now, fast forward, we also have on our team, we have Jamal Williams at running back, who led the league in rushing last year with 17 touchdowns with Detroit. Came over in free agency because we needed help.
Yeah.
Kamara had, needed another guy to come take the heat off him at running back. Now he had an up and down season this year for us because he had been hurt a lot of the year. He had a lot of major injuries. I think he had some knee injuries, back injuries, and shit like that. Jameis takes it upon himself and the rest of the offense. I don't want to just put it all on Jameis, but Jameis and the rest of the offense that's in that series decides to say, you know what? Jamal Williams hadn't scored a touchdown all year after leading the league in rushing last year. He had come over here as a big free agent pickup. He decides to change the play from a kneel to a run up the middle while in in victory formation, which is normally a signal to say,
yeah,
hey, the game's over. We conceding. The defense conceding. Let's get this out of here so nobody gets hurt or whatever. It's an unspoken rule, right? They run the ball up the middle. It scores a touchdown. And, of course, Atlanta, not only their fans, they hot. Their players, they're pissed off. And they coach, he really fucking pissed off. He got so pissed off, during the handshake at the end of the game,
yeah,
he doesn't even handshake Dennis Allen. He runs right up to Dennis Allen telling him how fucking wrong he is for letting them do what
yeah.
they did, run up the score on them at the end. In my opinion, I look at it in two ways. I look at it in two things. You play the game until it's the end of the game.
Right.
If there's time left on the damn clock, you continue to play. There is no such thing as you concede in the middle of the game. I mean, that's kind of like what happened with Floyd. I'll give another example. It's like kind of when Floyd Mayweather had that fight. I forgot the kid's name he was fighting at the time. But the guy ended up headbutting him in the match. And the referee broke up the fight for a second to address and get the things under control. The guy reaches over to kind of gives Mayweather a hug and tell him he was sorry for what he did. Mayweather's like, all right, you hugged me once. Now don't keep hugging me now. He goes in for a third hug and he just knocks the dudes out. Now, it was a cheap shot to some because the dude's hands was down. In the same scenario here, the Atlanta Falcons' hands was down And the Saints scored. They should have been ready for anything. It's kind of like if
Like
you go for a field goal, it's kind of like you go for a fake.
I felt like the situation was different though, man. They was already beating the hell out of them. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
man,
What's
they
your
should have
thoughts?
just
What's
went
your
on.
thoughts?
They should have just went on and took the knee, man. I mean, you won the game, and that
Yeah.
shit is not going to be forgotten.
Oh
It's not
no.
going to be forgotten. So
Oh
Atlanta,
no.
Atlanta already got the Saints marked on their calendar from now on out. This shit is personal now, man. It's not going to be forgotten because there's going to be a lot of players still on that squad, man. They ain't going to forget that
Oh
shit.
yeah.
They're not
Oh
going to
yeah.
forget. They're going to remind all the teammates, hey, that shit they did this past season, hey, we got to stick it to them.
Oh yeah. Now
So
I gotta say this. I gotta say this. As a Saints fan, it is one of them rivalries where it's
it's real.
very personal already.
It's really a rivalry now.
Oh yeah. But it's always been very, very whenever people from New Orleans always travel to Atlanta for that game, and vice versa. Atlanta fans always travel to New Orleans for that game. There's always huge fights that always break out somewhere between Saints fans and Falcon fans. It always happens that way, and it's no different when it plays out on the field between Saints and Falcon fans. The general hatred for both sides is there. That kind of also speaks to me. I can understand why they even did it. It probably was like, you know what? It's the Falcons. We don't give a fuck. We gonna score this touchdown. Do I think it was right? No, I think it was wrong because
Yeah,
you were in victory formation. You gave the pretty
that's the
much the
problem I
signal
got
that you
with it.
you conceded.
Yeah, that's the problem I got with it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's my only problem with it too.
yeah,
If they would have lined up in an I formation or something like that, or a regular formation,
yeah.
pretty
And
much
if
saying that you could run the ball.
and my thing is, if he was going to run the ball, that's what they should have done. Got in the formation. That way, the defense would have known. I mean, these guys actually think the game was over, but
It was.
they really thought the game was over. Yeah, they wasn't looking for that, and they did it. So, yeah, it's gonna spark. That's fire, man. I'd have been mad as hell. I already
What do
done
you thought
lost.
of what do you thought of the response that James gave at the end of the game?
That dude crazy, man. Dude was crazy. That dude was crazy as hell, man. James, this is crazy, man. He's a funny guy. He's
You
a
know,
funny guy.
James is one of those dudes that's like unintentionally funny.
Yeah,
you
he is. He's
know,
funny as hell,
everything he
man.
says or does is just funny, not on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like he talking about like, yeah, we just want to be a good teammate. Us as a team decided. I was like, man, you're not doing yourself any favors because one, you're already in a contract year. You're trying to get a new contract.
Mhm.
You're already in bad favor, probably from what it seems like from the outside looking in.
Mhm.
They benched him last year. He was in the same situation that Derek Carr was in this year when he got hurt, and they continue to play Derek Carr. They didn't let Jameis do that last year. He didn't get the same kind of leniency. They hurried up and pulled the leash on him and hurried up and put in other quarterbacks, Trevor Simeon last year. So, I mean, not Trevor Simeon. Uh, I forgot his name. From Cincinnati. Andy Dalton. They put in Andy Dalton real quick and for the rest of the season. So I was even surprised he even came back this season in the offseason after everything that went down. Because there was clearly was something that went on behind the scenes. And I think this is kind of a clear example of what something was going on between himself, Jameis, Pete Carmichael, and the head coach,
Yeah.
Dennis Allen. There was some kind of situation where he was getting into it with them behind the scenes. And you can kind of see it. He was kind of sneak dissing in the media. He was sneak dissing on social media. So there was some issues there. If you're a Saints fan and you follow the team heavily, you can kind of see it. And it got picked up by some media sites too. So I don't think Jameis will be back
Yeah,
in
I
New
was just
Orleans.
fixing to ask you. I think this is over with for him, right?
You would think so. He did take a pay cut to come back to New Orleans last season. Who knows? It was a major surprise to see him come back this season. So we'll see what happens. That's why I brought up what I said about Russell Wilson. We'll see what happens to him in Denver. But
Yeah.
I don't expect him back. But I mean, most fans in New Orleans love James. They want to see him come back as a backup. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But any last thoughts before we get to these picks?
I think that's about gonna wrap it up, man. That shit there was funny. When you mentioned about the Saints, that shit came to my mind. I was like, that shit was funny, man. It was fucked up too at the same time.
I mean, I would say this as a Saints fan, I loved every minute of it.
Well, yeah, that's a rivalry, y'all. Anyway,
And
with
I
the
will say
Falcons.
this about Dennis Allen. I did feel because I want to say there was another head coach in the league. I can't remember who it was, but he was pretty much in a similar situation, and he was pretty much like, "Fuck him."
Yeah,
But Dennis Allen was like all apologetic, and to me, that's not that's not the move. You either, I mean, they laid the bed for you. You got to lay in it now. Just take the charge. Don't blame. He's a head coach that doesn't mind putting blame on the players, which is fine. If they deserve the blame, put it on them.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you want a head coach that's going to protect you in the media.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
As if you're a player. And I feel like he doesn't protect his players in the media when they come under scrutiny.
yeah,
So and it makes him to some degree look weak. And I feel like he's the opposite of what Antonio Pierce is.
mm-hmm.
Antonio Pierce would have just took it took it on the
On the chin, man.
took it on the head, and behind the scenes they probably would have felt that shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But in the media, he would have probably protected him.
yeah,
I just don't get that same sentiment from Dennis Allen, and that's probably why a lot of the fans in the city want him gone already beforehand.
yeah. I'm
If
fixing
he
to ask
starts
you
off
that.
bad, what's that?
I'm fixing to ask you that. How much longer you think he's gonna be there?
I can tell you this: if they start off slow next season, their schedule's not going to be easy. I saw some of the games that they're going to have on the slate. Obviously, the full schedule's not out, but we kind of know the teams you're going to play in the divisions. We got to
Yeah.
play the AFC North and I think the NFC East, uh, which ain't going to be easy.
Yeah.
So the Saints going to have a really tough schedule, and this season was supposed to be a layup year in terms of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They had all the talent. Derek Carr was supposed to be this big pickup in the offseason,
Yeah.
and he had a mediocre year. I mean, in some ways, you can say he had a worse year than last year when he was in Las Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
So it's a wash year. They didn't win the playoffs. They was the highly favored team to win the division. They didn't win. Dennis Allen finally got his first winning season. Like, if they start off slow, if they start off like 0-4 or 1-5 or some shit like that, the Saints, the fan base is already pissed off already that he's still around.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen the fan base this mad about a player or coach in a long time. They literally was excited, throwing parties when Pete Carmichael got fired. Now, Pete Carmichael got, he was a scapegoat or whatever for the loss for the season. But Dennis Allen is the prize. If he continues to fuck up and they have a bad season next year, it's not gonna look good. They're gonna have a lot of empty seats in the dome, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
But that's it on that, man. I know we've been talking. I've been talking my ass off. Uh, let's get into these picks. So we talked about Let me see. Let me do an update and see what's going on with the Lions and Bucks.
I think they were
They're tied at 10 right now
10.
with
Yeah,
9 minutes in the third.
yeah, yeah. 10-10.
Yeah, 10-10. All right, so let's pull up this spread for this last game. All right, so let's see this. Where is it? No, I'm not seeing a spread for these games, so we'll just call it. We'll just call them straight up. So I think we already said that we both kind of think that Kansas City's gonna win this game against Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we both called that one. Um, I had called previously beforehand. I called Detroit that was gonna win that game. Today I'm still calling Detroit's gonna win against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, pick Detroit on that. That was my sleeper.
Yeah, and if it's the AFC Championship game, you said you got Baltimore going to the Super Bowl, and you got who coming out the NFC?
Believe between I can't count Kansas City out, man.
Can't call. You can't count them out.
I can't count them out, man. It's on me.
AC.
I would love to see uh them get in there. I mean,
Mhm.
because that will be a hell of a matchup, Kansas City and Baltimore, man. I think that would be a better game in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm picking Kansas City and Baltimore in the AFC Championship game.
Baltimore and Kansas City.
Yeah,
All right. Who
NFC.
you got winning?
Lamar Jackson gonna take it, man. they go. It's gonna be a good game. That will be a great game. I think it will be a down to the wire game, and I think Lamar will prevail.
All right. What about the NFC side?
NFC. I actually pick. I'm picking Detroit today.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else is in Detroit? Let's see. This Baltimore. I mean Buccaneers and the Lions in the
Yeah.
NFC. And
49ers are already in the AFC Championship game, so it'll be the Lions and 49ers. So who you think will win that game?
if uh, Detroit come out and play like Green Bay did, it could go either way. But in the end, man, definitely probably be the 49ers. Because what 49ers got home field advantage throughout.
Yep.
Uh, I think the 49ers will end up being in the championship, man. It'll be the Ravens and the 49ers in the
All right.
Super Bowl. Those are my
Okay.
picks.
All
I would
right.
like to see Detroit, man, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think they've ever been to the Super Bowl, have they?
No, I don't think it. I don't recall.
No.
Yeah, so
I know they've been to I think an NFL championship game, but not the Super Bowl.
yeah. So
NFC championship game. Yeah.
I picked the Ravens and the 49ers.
All
And
right.
I picked the Ravens to win that shit.
To win it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, bro.
They
I
showed me
got the same
yesterday.
picks.
They showed me
I got the
yesterday,
same
man.
picks.
Yeah.
I got Baltimore winning it all against the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would like to see Kansas City win it, but I think it's just Lamar Jackson here. I think it's hard to deny.
Kansas City gonna make it interesting. They will make
Yeah.
it interesting, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, there it is, man. There it is. Baltimore should win it all. Shit, they the number one team overall.
Yeah.
Coming out the NFL in total this season. It's been the year of Lamar Jackson. He's been playing lights out.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with that shit. But there it is, man. Look, thank you, Jock, for coming on, bro. I appreciate you. I definitely want to get you on again, maybe in a couple of weeks, to maybe talk about the Super Bowl preview.
Yeah.
We might be doing a watch party or something like that. But EJ, myself, and a couple other people, if you can make it, that'd be dope.
No doubt, man.
We'll set something up in behind the scenes. But in the meantime, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? If y'all watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to the audio version, make sure y'all check us out. Tell y'all people, tell your mom and them, tell them everybody. Straight out the 504 and the 601 was meeting up, you know what I'm saying? New Orleans to Jackson. Link up.
Check out the
It's
podcast,
officially
man.
done.
Check out the
It's officially
podcast.
done in the books.
Check out the Jock Johnson podcast, baby, on YouTube. Check it out.
That's right. Make sure y'all check out the Jock Johnson podcast. As always, tearing it up every week.
Yeah.
You got another episode coming up, right?
Yeah, actually, it's out now.
It's out now.
Yeah.
So make sure y'all check out Jock's new episode out right now. What's the name of the episode? You have the name of it?
I got my special guest on there, man. I do my interviews, interview Jock Johnson podcast, man, episode 43. It's available. My cousin is available on the show. Victor Hayes. He's on there. So check it out.
No doubt. I'm gonna put the link in the description so y'all make sure y'all can check it out. Shout out to Jock Johnson, man. Appreciate you, dog. As always, man. My motherfucking dog. Shout out to EJ the DJ, who couldn't make it today. But he will definitely be back very, very soon. So with that being said, man, you already know what it is. To my right, that is Jock Johnson of the Jock Johnson podcast. I'm your host, Beanie Man, a.k.a. Mr. Headquarters. You already know what it is. It's the motherfucking pie.
Yes, sir.